Hello. So, possibly you can't see my face. Doesn't matter, don't need to. I want to do a video about racking, and I positioned the camera a bit precariously. And I've got the camera fixed today because before I did a video before about it on a smaller scale, and the problem was that I was using one hand to hold the camera, and so I couldn't really do it properly. So hopefully I've got two hands this time, and I'm doing slightly still kind of on a domestic scale. These are 25-litre vessels, and this one down here is 100, and so I want to. This is the first racking from. So what I did, I pressed the juice and it went into these vessels. It was a smaller press, which didn't produce as much, and that I only had a certain amount of the apples that I wanted to use. So they went into these, and that was a few weeks back. It's November now, December now. So I've got a thermometer here. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. No, you won't. Anyway, what's the temperature in here? 5, 6, 7 degrees, 6 degrees, 7 degrees. So single figure temperatures today. So that's why I want to look at a process called cold racking. So you want to do it when it's cold, because that means a lot of the solubles that are in the fermenting juice settle out, and also it means there's not many insects about, so it's a bit safer to do it. And trying to think of the reasons why to do it when it's really cold. You don't want it to you don't want to get too much air in it, so you don't want it to oxidize, you don't want insects, and you want you're trying to take the clearer portion of cider that's fermented away from the surface foam and the sediment at the bottom. So first of all, let me get out my big tube. So yeah, I've got a bigger tube for this because they're bigger vessels, so a bit of a wider diameter. I don't know what you call that, the capacity of the tube. And I've got down here, this is just a bit of apple pruning that I've just taken the bark off, and that can go in the end to act as a plug. So what I want to do here, I want to take the cider from above the sediment. The sediment is at the bottom, and so I want to try not to disturb that too much. And I think I want about a thumb's width off the bottom. I don't want to go below that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just make something to go in the tube, the top of the tube, to stop that from happening. So I've got another bit of apple pruning here, and I'm interested in where it branches apart like this. So what I want to do is cut a few pieces, just a thumb's width. The length that I want off the bottom, I want beyond where it branches. So I'm going to do just there, and then I'll do this one here, just there. Should be enough, but I'll do one more, maybe this one. There we go. That down there. So I've got these, I'm just going to trim them up now. So just taking off kind of the excess material. And I'll show you what they look like in a second. Probably you can't hear me now. I've got the camera in a fixed position deliberately because I had problems last time. Right. So I'm trying to do something and talk at the same time. I'm not very good at. I'm very good at multitasking. Right, okay. So we've got our tube here. I've got just down here a bucket of like sterilising solution. So this tube is nice and clean. And I'm just going to pop these sticks. Oh dear. Okay, yeah, I need one more. A little bit smaller than I thought. One big one. There you go. Right, so I'm just going to pop these in here. One more. Okay. Okay, so my tube now, I've got the sticks stuck in the tube and the little bits that were branching off are on the outside so that they don't, the sticks don't get sucked up into the tube. So all that is doing is preventing the tube going right to the bottom and also providing gaps for the juice to go past and be filtered a little bit. I don't want anything too big coming out. So this is the first racking, so I'm not too worried about if I disturb the sediment a little bit, I'm not going to be like devastated. So that's why I'm using this technique. So I'm going to put that in there. I need my plug here. The tractor's coming on, and I'm going to take this. This is just to keep anything out from in here. I don't know if you can hear me, the tractor's just going on. So you often see in these videos people like suck on the tube and then put it in. So I want to show you an alternative, which is to put the tube down into the vessel, which can disturb the sediment a bit. You need to be careful. Do that, get as much in there, much of it in there as you can. And then with this little twig that I carved, I'm going to plug it. Sorry about the noise. Plug that. Pull it out quickly. There we go. So I've got a bit of plastic there to stop anything. With it being cold, it's not a problem. There's not many insects about. That just is a precautionary measure. So the other way of doing that is you could take some juice and pour into the pipe. So I may do that for the next one, but I don't want to open a new bottle if I can help it. So yeah, I'm doing it that way. So there we go. So hopefully what you can see is the level here is gradually going down. It'll take a little while. And then the level on this one you probably can't see will be coming up. I've not actually got all that much height for it to come down. Anyway, yeah, what I can do in the meantime is just talk about a couple of things. So the first point is that the vessel that I did the initial fermentation in, so I just used natural yeast, so I pressed the juice and put it in this vessel with no other additives or anything, no added yeast. And then I checked it periodically. It's been a few weeks. It's probably pressed, I don't know, October. We're December now. And then it's fermented. So there's some bits on the surface from the foam and what have you, which will be left behind on the side of the vessel here. So I may be able to show you that after. I can see just here there's some bits that are being left behind. And so this shape of vessel, like long and tall, is good for the very initial fermentation because you're going to have a lot of sediment that you want to leave at the bottom, and it's easy to take stuff off from the top, and you also are going to have to do quite a lot of cleaning on this vessel. So it's got quite a wide top that you can get in, and I can get right down to the bottom just with my arm. So yeah, so these are quite good for the very initial stages of fermentation. And you don't need, at that stage, you don't need a fantastic airlock procedure. So you need to let the gas escape, there'll be a lot of gas coming off it, which needs to escape, and you want to stop air getting back in. But because there's so much gas coming off it, you can just have something like this plastic, or just like an airlock. But as fermentation progresses later on, you want more sophisticated airlocks on it. As the alcohol starts to be produced, as it's got a higher percentage of alcohol in it, you don't want that to oxidize. So you'll want ideally towards the end, a vessel that can take a little bit of pressure, a small amount. I've got a keg over there, which is just like a homebrew type 25 litre keg, and that's got a 15 psi rating on it, with just a safety relief valve. So that's almost, a car tyre is probably about like 20-30 psi. So as you progress, you want it to be under a little bit of pressure, but to start with, you want it not to be under any pressure. Right, so yeah, I don't know if you'll be able to see that. Hopefully the light is coming on to that and just here, some of the gunk that was on the top there has been left behind, and it's gradually sinking down. So doing it quite slowly is not a problem, because you don't want to create a lot of turbulence and to oxidize things. What else can I talk about? Right. You can see I've still got some apples left. So yeah, as I say, it's December now, so we're first week of December. Normally, like cold racking is normally done early in the spring. So when you get the frosts then. So we've had a few days here where it's been, single figure temperatures, especially overnight. It got down to freezing one night here. So this kind of building, this is like cop wall, lime washed cop wall. So it gets, when the temperature changes, there's a lag. So when it went to freezing outside initially, it was still like double figures in here, and then it takes a few days for it to drop down, and that's really good for cider because it means it gives it time to adjust to temperature changes. And what my preference is for a long cool ferment, so I prefer to do things slowly, and that gives me a longer window to do the things I need to do, make the adjustments I need to make. Excuse me. So yeah. So once this has come off into this vessel, I will put it under airlock, and then I probably won't rack it again then until the spring. And then I'll be looking to put it into vessels that build up a little bit of pressure. And then the final one, of course, is like the bottle, which, if you've got a sparkling product, the pressures can be more substantial. Oh, sun, at last, we have light. I said something. Yeah, it's been that early December weather. It's the kind of weather you often get in November, where it's cold and overcast and kind of grim. Been that kind of weather recently. So, a lot of people don't like that weather, but for me, it's a useful time. Right. Well, I'm not sure there's much point in showing you much more, really. I mean, this you can see the levels going down in here. I'm going to do the same with this vessel as well, yeah, and then put it under airlock. And so that's the first racking, and then there will be subsequent rackings. And what you're doing is removing the nutrients from the yeast. So they're all in the sediment at the bottom, and you're slowing the fermentation process down by doing these rackings, and that allows you don't want the yeast to absolutely rip through all the sugars. So you sometimes get people in home brew particularly who are like, how strong can I make it, how quickly, and they make like a wine in like a fortnight or something, and then they go, oh yeah, taste this, it's really strong, and like they just ripped all the sugar out of it, and it's just like, no. So what you want to do is like try and keep some residual sweetness behind, like natural sweetness, not like added like chemicals. Like so what most commercial cider makers will do is ferment dry as quickly as they can, and then add like I don't know. Sorbitol is probably the least offensive one. So that's a non-fermentable sugar that comes from pears. But things like aspartame and sucralose, I think it is. So there's a kind of sugar that's like a chlorinated sugar that a lot of people like to add, and the body can't process it, and it ends up in a water table. And I don't think there's any like biological thing that can like use it. So right. Anyway, I'm going to say goodbye there because I've got something I've got to do.